Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Today, we're going to be talking about Mandy Rose and the reaction to the Mandy Rose vignettes of her in poolside in a bikini. Now, usually it's not going to be a usual smart tier segment. Instead, it's going to be carefully chosen tweets to discuss. Over the past couple of weeks, they've been showing videos of Mandy Rose poolside, of course, kissing the belt, her in a bikini. And one person, and it's the person who kind of inspired this video, says that Mandy Rose is setting women's wrestling back 20 years. And I absolutely said, you know what? It's almost as if, body positivity is a good thing, only when you're fat and ugly. If you're fat and ugly or deformed in some way, then body positivity is good. You should run around in a bikini. It'd have been perfectly fine. If it was Dewdrop in a bikini, poolside, nobody would care. But because it's Mandy Rose and she's beautiful and her skin is tight, well, now she's just making everybody look bad. She's stunting on these hoes and we can't stand it. We don't want that. We don't want you stunting on these hoes. We want to normalize the abnormal. We want to normalize the defective and normalize the look. I don't want to get too far into it. But let's just say this. They want Mandy Rose to be humble. That's what they want. Oddball thing about all of this is that is the point of the character. Mandy Rose, for the entire length of her WWE career, whether she's a babyface or a heel, has kind of been up her own ass about her own looks. That seems to be the core of her character, that she's a narcissist. And as a narcissistic character, obviously she's going to have a very high opinion of herself. And then in the NXT, what we see is that Mandy Rose doesn't take anybody seriously because most of these women are very young, and she has a crew with her, so she can afford to kick back a little bit. She got JC and Gigi to do her dirty work for her. She can sit poolside and go do photo shoots and everything. But the core of the character is all about Mandy Rose being very, very arrogant. Mandy Rose's character is no different than Lex Luger or anybody else that plays that same vein. When he was the Total Package. And he would come out there. I love the Total Package, by the way. I'm talking about when he changed his name to the Total Package. I mean, it's a stupid thing to do. But that repackaging of Lex Luger when he had that big entrance with Miss Elizabeth, it was fantastic. Fantastic presentation. That's kind of how I view Mandy Rose. I view her in the same way that, when Triple H and Scott Steiner was doing the pose down, when Ravish and Rick Rude was doing the pose down, when Sable was doing, all of her stuff. She's along that line of character. It could be male or female. It just happens to be that Mandy Rose is female. But somehow these people are very upset by this. And so let's talk about some of them. Here's one of them. The NXT Women's Championship has lost all of its prestige and is now just a prop for Mandy's bikini shoots. Just give her the Divas Championship already. So because Mandy Rose is beautiful, doesn't mean that she can't work. She can work. She should be the Divas champion because she looks good in a bikini and sits poolside. Look, she just defended her title like 2 weeks ago, right? We're still working on this whole building up another contender for her thing. This is not like what she's been doing for months and months and months, and she hasn't been defending the title and she's been hiding. Shane played Nakamura, had the title and the cup. Which one is it? Which one is it? Which one is it? We're not doing that. So why is it complaints? Is it because these people got low self-esteem? I don't know, maybe. Remember when women's wrestling was serious and not about how you looked in a bikini? I mean, blink and you missed it, but it was nice for a couple of years. I'm like, really? I see women all the time, from Sasha Banks to Shotzi, hell, even Sonya Deville. Almost every woman on WWE's roster is posting bikini shots, with the exception of Shayna Baszler. She's the only one I haven't seen do a bikini photo shoot yet. And I'm pretty sure that's for obvious reasons. But all of them are essentially doing bikini photo shoots. All of them are, right? Well, I don't think Becky Lynch has done one yet. I think she did something in a swimsuit, but I don't know if she did like a bikini thing. But almost all of Charlotte does it all the time too. Now they don't always pose with the belt. Again, different. This is part of Mandy's character. Not so much for Charlotte. Charlotte does this in her spare time. It's like Shotzi wears a monster head sometimes in her spare time when she's doing her bikini photo shoots. But it still does sort of involve the characters a little bit and their personalities and who they are. They all do it. What's wrong with Mandy doing bikini photo shoots? I have yet to see anybody pull out a convincing argument that bikini photo shoots are bad. They're not bad. She can do both. You can do both. She can be a serious wrestler and still do bikini photo shoots. I don't see, there's no contradiction there. Here's another one. Mandy Rose, as a competitor, you are terrific. I'm glad you give her some credit. But as a role model to young women, you have set back all the work the women's division has done for the last 10 years. Bikini tops and cat suits, emphasizing looks over ability. It's a shame because you're so talented. I mean, this is the kind of guy who goes to the strip club and says, you're far too pretty to be doing this. What are you talking about, sir? What are you talking about? She is talking about both her in-ring ability and her looks. This is part of the character, and it always has been. The only thing I really did with Mandy Rose is give her just a little bit more of an edge. But it's almost the exact same character throughout her entire run. One thing I have said routinely, WWE's booking is not very good. You know, who wins, who loses, storylines, all that stuff, not that good. But sometimes the character work is remarkably consistent, especially over time when people have been there for a while. Mandy Rose is one of those characters that has been there long enough that you can see that her character hasn't changed that much. From God's Greatest Gift to Toxic Attraction, it's all about how she looks. Even when she was a babyface and she was feuding with Sonya Deville and Sonya Deville cut her hair, it was all about Mandy coming to grips with having her hair cut and finding that she was beautiful even after Sonya Deville attacked her, and saying that Sonya Deville was just jealous of how she looked and everything, jealous of her success, which she hadn't actually achieved any success yet. And now Mandy Rose is basically saying the same thing. She's successful, she's hot, she's wealthy, and everybody's just jealous of her. And what are these people doing? Being goddamn jealous. And I guarantee you, most of these people complaining are probably going to be men. Not women. Men. Male feminists. I can almost guarantee it that these are male feminists complaining. I'm almost willing to bet money on it. Let's go another one. I'm totally disappointed because Mandy Rose has retained her championship, but she's not a good champion because she doesn't defend her title on a weekly basis because she's been at home sitting in her pool. A real champion defends his or her title every weekday, in and out. I'm sorry. I don't know what you've been watching. Nobody defends the title. Even people who do opening challenges, they didn't defend the title every week. For Christ's sake, you would burn through the roster if you defended the title every week. That's not even, no, it's not realistic. I think that might have even been a kid. That might have been a kid. Maybe I'm bullying a kid here. But I'm pretty sure this one is not a kid. Yep, Viagra Vince, wants to put the NXT women's roster in the hands of someone who belongs on OnlyFans and not in the ring. And Gigi is hotter anyway. Now look, that last line, a matter of opinion. She's a little too skinny and pale for my taste. I don't really know. She's a little too skinny and pale for me. The McMahons, John Laurinaitis, I see that a lot too. As soon as John Laurinaitis takes over the recruiting of NXT, Mandy Rose gets a huge push And now the women are in bikinis and they're sexy. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, kind of. Why not? I mean, if you got the balls to pull the trigger on it and whoever was doing this stuff before didn't have the balls to do it, I respect John Laurinaitis' gangster at that point. If Bruce Pritchard came in, kicked in the door and said, put these bras in bikinis, man, what are you doing? I would 100% put the stamp on that. Hell yeah, go for it. But I know that's not what it is. Because if it was a WWE wide thing, wouldn't all of them be doing it? Wouldn't Becky Lynch be out here in bikini too? No. It's Mandy Rose because that's her character. That's what she does. You know? Now, they all do take bikini photo shoots for the most part. They all do photo shoots way too much. I think the women do photo shoots far more than the men do. Like, Becky Lynch is constantly doing photo shoots. And so is Charlotte. They're constantly doing photo shoots. The girls constantly doing photo shoots. They doing far more than the men do. No problem with that. You know, they usually have far more followers too for that same reason. Because they post sexy content on their Instagrams and their Twitter pages. And they do it even when they're not under contract. I don't know how many times I've seen like Deonna Purrazzo, ever since she left, do swimsuit photo shoots and all kinds of stuff. Let's not even get into the Impact roster. For Christ's sake. I think everybody except Rosemary has been necking on that motherfucker. All right? It is what it is. That's women. That's just women. It's just that Mandy Rose is a woman where it makes sense to utilize her character in this way. I don't understand why they can't deal with that. Here's the last one. It was the last two because it's a pretty long one here. Back to the old diva days with photo shoots and having their appearances matter more than talent. This is the NXT Vince wants. I like Mandy Rose because she's much more than that. But this is such a downgrade from the previous NXT, not just the women's division, but overall. I think Toxic Attraction on paper is really interesting as a faction because it's not common at all to have a faction with women ever since Riot Squad and Absolution. But if this is what they're about, WWE's missing the mark completely. For starters, there's been a ton of women factions. They just don't last that long. You know, but in this situation, this Toxic Attraction is more of a vehicle to push Gigi and JC more than it is to push Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose is just the biggest name in the bunch. You know, but she's really there mostly as a mentor to Gigi and JC, right? To give them some character, to give them some personality, to be sort of a lightning rod so that people can pay attention to them and what they do, right? Like, we already know Mandy. Like I said, this is Mandy long term. She's been doing this stuff. This is mostly to ingratiate the audience to Gigi and JC. And I don't see a problem with this at all. They're all successful. It's working. People love Toxic Attraction. They only started having a problem when Mandy started doing poolside photo shoots. And guess what? I don't care. Because it was like, ultimately, what are you mad about? You know, that's the question I want to have. Like, what are you really mad about? Let's get to the heart of this thing. What are you mad about? She's wrestling when it's time for it. But when she's not wrestling, what is she supposed to be doing? She's, you know, she could be like Bobby Lashley and be in the gym, hitting it hard and sweating. And like, is that really what we want to see with women? No. Go relax in the sun, baby. You know, get a nice little tan. She was doing photo shoots before she went to defend the title last time, right? She was doing a bikini poolside photo shoot right before New Year's Evil. Then she came in, wrestled at New Year's Evil, beat both of her contenders, and then went back poolside. No different than Roman Reigns. He comes out there, he talks a good game, he goes sit in his office. He comes out there, wrestle his opponent, go sit in the office. I mean, got the Fiend. He hangs out with the in the Firefly Funhouse. He, you know, does his feud in the ring, goes back, hangs out the Firefly Funhouse. Everybody is just doing the same shit that their character allows for. But for some reason, because Mandy Rose is not humble, and because her character is sexy, it's a problem. It's an issue. And people feel like they feel divided on this subject. Instead of just saying, oh, okay, this is just the Mandy Rose character. Thank God nobody else is like that, because there literally is nobody else on NXT who does bikini photo shoots and wrestles in a bikini or anything like that. It's just Mandy Rose. So they literally telling you this is her character. This is what she is about. And why is that a problem? If we see that they have been using that as part of the characters too. And it won't be long before somebody comes along and starts putting all this stuff that we're talking about today in the mouth of some greasy woman's wrestler who's like, oh, Mandy Rose cares about his photo shoots. And then everybody's going to get a big, yay, you said it. Like that haven't been the whole point of this thing. Sometimes I think that the smart fans are not so smart. And this is definitely one of those times.